All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Sarah. I'm a team member here with Nerve Health Group and Nerve Renew, and I'm joined, as always, by Dr. Don Kennedy. He's our Chief Medical Advisor, and we are so lucky to have him, just access to him to share just some great resources, information to you guys, our customers, and our greater community. So tonight's topic is very timely with the Winter Olympics happening. So as Don and I were kind of brainstorming some ideas of what we could be sharing with you guys tonight. One thing that is often overlooked in a treatment plan is the mental side of health, especially when we're dealing with a potentially chronic type of condition where that it's persistent when it comes to like the nerve damage side of things. So this was a really fun approach that we could take with this. So Don has some great information to share with us tonight. So before we get into the actual information that we're going to be sharing, just a quick overview. If you haven't joined one of our lives before or any live on Facebook before, you'll see a comment box either below the screen here or to the side, depending on what platform you're joining from. We'd love for you, if you have questions as we're going through the material this evening, please pop your questions or comments in there. If Don and I aren't able to get to any of those questions this evening, if we run out of time, our team will be monitoring those. So be sure that if you ask a question, it will get answered. And we love for these to be interactive. So definitely don't hesitate to pop any questions or comments in there as we go through. And then Don, do you want to do a quick introduction of yourself in case there's anyone here that is new and hasn't met you yet? And then we'll get started.
All right, I'm ready. I'm Dr. Kennedy. I'm Dr. John Kennedy. I'm the kind of advisor for this group, and it's so much fun because there's a big focus here on kind of non-conventional ways we can help you guys get better, and especially integrative type medicine. I've been interested in this for a long time. Listen, I've been in medicine 40 years now. I probably think I keep thinking I've seen everything, but with the new processes in place, there's so many great things that folks can learn and do if they just tune in and keep trying. I know I don't love oral medications. As I've moved into different types of medicine now, and so my job in this is to teach mostly and to kind of give information and help folks and motivate folks and hopefully something we say tonight or I say or something that the company does will help you get onto just a better day. And honestly, that's my total focus on this, just to help you guys lead a better life and get out there and beat this thing called neuropathy, which is kind of our topic tonight. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes, from an Olympic level, kind of beating neuropathy. That's where we're really approaching this from this evening. We're really kind of taking that, approaching that mental game, what you can do to level up, but then just some general reminders, of what a comprehensive treatment plan can look like. And like Don said, it's not just one approach. It's not just oral medication or supplements. It's looking at the bigger picture of a treatment plan. So I'm excited to get into this stuff tonight, Don. This as we went through this outline, there's just some fun aspects that we've added in tonight. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I know the Olympics was really what drove the topic this evening and the content. So let's start there. Let's talk a little bit about the Olympics.
Well, and that's what we'll do. We'll go right into it because now we are entering our own Olympics with everybody that's listening, anybody they know, because they're all invited to participate in the neuropathy Olympics. But you just can't go to the Olympics and not be ready, right?
Yeah,
This
very
is a
true.
big deal. This is about life. This is the Olympics, and it's about the mental game of beating neuropathy. And I'm going to do it. It's going to be fun. I'm going to do a little bit about the Olympics and talk a little bit about neuropathy. So you guys will. I always try to give some education on base neuropathy because a lot of folks who tune in still don't quite understand. They're new. They've got just new folks who just gotten neuropathy or symptoms or somebody they know. So I try to give some information about just the basics and how it works. And then we're going to get into a little thing about mindset. The whole goal of tonight is to have you folks wake up tomorrow and rethink what the heck you're doing and how you're going to win the Olympic gold in neuropathy. Would that be great?
Absolutely.
And so just just so everybody know, I have my own Olympic gold medal on right now. If everybody can see this, it's really important. Actually, it's a picture of a little surfer on there. We had this made in another country years ago, and I keep it right here. But it's my good luck charm, and it reminds me of who I am and what I need to do with my life as a physician, as a dad, and a grandfather. And so maybe all of you can think about getting something like this as a medal to award yourself for what you're about to do. Because you know what? Every time I look at this, I think, you know what? I'm going to move ahead with this. I'm going to be the good doctor. I'm going to try to help people, and I'm going to uh, do what I should be doing with my life and keep moving and be mentally tough, which is where we're going tonight. So, Sarah, I got a question.
Okay.
How many years ago were the first Olympics?
Oh gosh. A lot. I know that was in Greece, but I couldn't tell you how exactly. Thousands of years.
Okay, well, that's a great, yeah, and we weren't there, that's for sure. But it was, get this, it was 3,000 years ago. Ancient Greece, 3,000 years ago, somebody had this idea of, hey, let's have a competition called the Olympics. How many participants? How many people were there? They had 240 participants from 12 nations, 43 different events. Imagine how they got there on donkeys and horses and chariots.
Yeah.
12 nations. And what's important is, guess who won? Who became the very first Olympian? Who was it?
I don't know.
I didn't know either until I started looking at this, and I thought, this is kind of amazing. The first Olympian in an event, his name was Corobius. I don't know if you know anybody by that name, but I do not. And probably nobody listening out there knows Corobius, but he is famous because he ran 101, the first race, which was the 192-meter foot race, a foot race, running 120 meters. And you know what his job was in life?
What?
He was a cook.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that's what he was. He was a cook. He was the first Olympian, which is kind of the message tonight. I don't care who you are, where you are in your life, what you're doing, how old you are, or anything. If this cook can win the first gold medal, you guys can get out there and at least try to win the gold medal. And that's what we're going to do tonight. Talk about that. But let me tell you, there was one commonality in all of these Olympics, and it's true for any competition. They all faced something or somebody in this case, who wanted to beat them at what they did, wanted to beat them. And so I look as our opponent as neuropathy, who wants to change our lives and limit what we can do. And we're not going to let them do that. We are going to beat them in the foot race. Is that a good idea, Sarah?
Absolutely. Goal number 1.
Are you a fast runner?
Good-ish. I did sprints, but I mean, never won a medal for it.
Okay. So this opponent's kind of a weird guy or lady, whoever it is that's fighting you, because the neuropathy opponent, unlike the ones these folks saw in the Olympics, because they could see them, they knew who they were racing, they knew who they were up against. Okay. But diabetes, like a diabetic neuropathy, is slow. This opponent just creeps in with autoimmune diseases, with diabetes. And most people don't even understand that this neuropathy symptoms are not even present until you've had like a diabetes or other disease for up to 10 years. It's already forming, but you don't have the symptoms sometimes 9-10 years into it. So if it's creeping along, it's quiet. That's the second thing. You never know what's happening. You never know what's coming until that one night when you start having some tingling or shocks in your feet and you think, uh-oh, what the heck is that? And it hides. This neuropathy opponent of yours hides in other diseases. It's not just one thing. It's from trauma. It's from lupus. It's from diabetes. It can be from anything like that, autoimmune, other type diseases. It can be from poor blood flow, peripheral vascular disease. It can be from any of that, and it hides, and it has one purpose. And the one purpose is to beat you and change your life. And how does it do that? Well, I guess you want me to answer that question.
Mhm. I don't think I could give a sufficient answer.
That's it. I know. This is my quick review of neuropathy. Look, I've said this a million times. And we're talking about peripheral neuropathy, the hands, the feet, mostly the feet and legs. That's where we have most of the problems. Remember that neuropathy affects the nerves outside the brain. Peripheral means outside the brain. And what happens is whatever it is that's causing is the inflammation from diabetes or autoimmune disease or poor blood flow. It damages the sheaths around the nerves around the axons. That's what its job is, to damage those proteins. And when those are damaged, you can't get the correct impulses from what's going on in the outside world. You can't figure out your feet and whatever it's touching can't send you the signals to say that something's hot or cold or hurts. So when you have this damage, the result are these neurons, these nerves, just firing every which way because they can't function. And the firing of those nerves goes to the brain. Remember this, and I said this a lot in the previous shows, that remember that you never know anything that's going on with your feet or legs or hands or anything until it is interpreted by the brain. There's two. There's the peripheral and central nervous system.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get to the brain, it's not interpreted. Actually, numbness is actually the death of the nerves, and then you don't sense anything. But the other stuff you have, the shocks, the tingling, the pain, is a result of your brain interpreting these misfiring and of the nerves and the impulses because they're just not right, and they just firing every which way. And remember, most of these nerves that are damaged are right near the skin. That's where a lot of these micro nerves are that are fed by the blood and need oxygen, etc. But the one thing I want to be sure that everyone understands, and this is the important point for the night, not most important point. Most important part was my medal that I won, but but nerves can heal. Don't let anybody tell anybody that you can't get better by doing something for your nerves. They can heal. You can get better. You just have to have the right mindset. And that mindset you have should drive anything and everything that you do every day that you wake up, whether it is your prevention and you're diabetic and you're worried about it, or you so far along you can barely get out of a chair. It's all about mindset. And that's where I'm going to go next. What should I tell them about mindset, Sarah?
Well, there's something that you mentioned before that might be a good structure to share, and that is the types of mindsets. And what you said before is there's kind of a fixed and a growth mindset. So that maybe that's a structure to kind of build from.
Right. And we've talked about that and how important it is, not just for the folks who have neuropathy, but for anybody, because success in life depends on that. And kind of the definition of that is the view that people adopt or see for themselves, the view of how they feel about themselves, that voice in their head. And so there are two types, and we'll kind of review those as we go through here in the examples I have. One is a fixed mindset. Have you ever in your life had anybody who says, "Oh, I just can't do that. I'm not going to do that," or "I'm not going to try any harder. I've already got that. I don't want to do anything different," Sarah? Anybody?
Yeah. Oh, with such conviction, there's that belief. It's like, nope, I've tried everything, or I just simply can't do that. Oh, yeah.
Right. Thus, the ultimate fixed, remember this, fixed mindset. It's so fixed that you're not going to be able to do anything else. I have neuropathy, so therefore I cannot do anything else. It's just going to affect my life, and I can't do anything because I have neuropathy. That is a fixed mindset. And that mindset is not what you want in the Olympics, because you will get beat by the neuropathy opponent. Okay, the other one Sarah, is which one? You mentioned it.
Growth.
Right. Growth mindset is the person who gets up every day and says, you know what? I may not be perfect, but I am not. It's not about me being perfect. It's all about me trying something, whether it's something new, something repetitive. The mindset says, I'm going to keep trying. I'm never going to give up. No one will beat me. And if there's some failures, I'm going to learn from those failures and not like the fixed mindset and say, I am going to quit because of those failures.
Right.
If you get a little worse, that happens. But gosh, you just can't give in, not give in to the fixed mindset. So let's talk about about those mindset. What do you think?
You had some tips that you wanted to share, right?
Yeah, I did because I want people to take a minute and take a deep breath and take a look at whatever situation, or if they're looking on for somebody else, the situation they're in. When I talk to people about this, everybody has a different world. But there are some commonalities in the tips I'm going to give that hopefully everybody listening will just say, listen, I'm going to pick one of these. I'm going to think about this, and maybe I'm going to try it because I don't want that fixed mindset. I don't want a fixed mindset medal because you won't have a medal if you have a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Anyway, so let's talk about number one. Listen, a mindset that says, listen, I got to take care of myself physically. I have to take care of myself. Don't wait for everybody else to do it. Here's a fact, and I think for those of you who like golf, I love golf. It's just that golf doesn't love me. And so I I'm going to invent a square golf ball, I think, or something. Something's got to help. But here nor there, Ben Hogan, one of the greatest, probably the greatest golfer of all time, was completely uncoordinated, and the term is graceless as a child.
Okay.
So why and how did this guy become the best golfer ever?
Yeah.
Which mindset?
Growth, for sure.
Yeah, he must have. And when folks are looking back and they're talking about this and neuropathy, and they're looking back through their lives, I guarantee you there are times in their life when you had either one of these.
Yeah.
And so the point made is you can have either one of these. You just can develop them. You can change them. You don't have to be in one. Just because you're in one tonight doesn't mean you have to go. If you're fixed, that you can't have the other. Because
Yeah.
Ben Hogan was the greatest golfer in the world. Um, the fact, in 1 second here, my screen's messing up. The fact is, when we talk about mental toughness, for instance, sleeping. What is it? You know, folks, I think do so much better physically when they get a good night's sleep.
I know. Yeah.
And so some people have a lifestyle, and I know people with neuropathy have trouble sleeping, and I know they struggle with it. And it's also a natural aging process, sometimes not to get the amount you need. But the effort and the try in this is to try to get a good night's sleep. Because if your ritual, your life says, you know what, I'm going to stay up and watch TV. Oops, I got to get up. The grandkids are coming over at such and such time, and I'm not going to get enough sleep. And you have neuropathy, that is not the way to go about that. Okay. Um, think about physically food. You know, it's easy to eat the wrong things. Mental toughness says I should eat the right things. No, don't go to a fast food restaurant and then stay up all night and then be tired the next day, because once you're worn down, you can't have the discipline to do what you want and what you should have. It takes you out of your training pattern. I don't think any of those Olympians did that. They didn't go through a drive-through like the night before their run and eat a bunch of French fries and then get up 3 hours later. And I know this guy Corubius didn't do it. Of course, they didn't have fast food. Maybe they had a Chariot drive-through. I don't know. Okay. So the point I'm making is you need to practice the lifestyle of health that will let you have the discipline to fight the slow moving neuropathy. You don't want it to creep in. You want to pretend it's there if it's not, and you want to know it's there if it is, and you want to fight it. Number one, got to take care of yourself physically and have a routine to do that. How's
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. And the tie-in, I mean, it really having that, being able to have that routine starts in your mind. You that consistency, that, discipline, the self-education to know what that routine should be. All of that starts in your mind. So that's definitely number one for
Right.
sure.
And the takeaway from that person was, listen, some folks are out there who are saying, man, I haven't done anything I should have been doing in the last whatever. And maybe it's time.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little more about that in a minute. So number two, in terms of my tips of mental illness, not mental illness, sorry, mental toughness to to win this Olympic gold and beat neuropathy, is you can't judge yourself. Stop doing that. Don't feel
Oh.
sorry for you. Um, stop saying I can't, I won't, and it's that judgment of yourself. Poor is me, because let me tell you, there are folks out there who've overcome, and I know many of you out there know who's overcome some of these incredible diseases and moved on. I will tell you honestly, and judge yourself. Look, honestly, and people wonder about my story. Look, my father was a bull rider, professional bull rider. And we lived in a little house with chickens and clotheslines, and holy mackerel, no one would have believed that I would be here today being a physician and being able to help people this way. It didn't make sense. I guarantee you I didn't have a fixed mindset. And although I know in early life I judged myself, so I said, I probably won't make it. I don't have any money. I'm not going to ride bulls. That's not really healthy at all. And so the point I'm making is mental toughness comes from an attitude. And this attitude, it simply says that I don't care where I am in my life right now, but I'm going to get better at no matter what. I don't care how far along this neuropathy is. Um, that mental game becomes with what I call a positive regard for yourself. Look in that mirror and say, this is who I am. And this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in the Olympics now. I'm going to beat this Olympic neuropathy opponent hands down. Remember, these outcomes in your life start with how you view yourself.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of folks out there who've given up. I'm telling you, don't do it. There's some amazing things that can happen if you just do the things, eat right, do the physical stuff, don't prejudge, and just say, I can. So that's the second one. It's just don't judge yourself. Start anew, like tonight, not tomorrow. I mean, I'm talking about tonight. All right.
I love it. I love the positive regard for myself. That is, I mean, wow. Yeah, I love that.
You just got to be honest about it. This is where I am. This is where I've been, but I'm telling you where I'm going. And I'm going to the Olympics. So that's it.
I love it. All right. What's number three?
Well, this is an interesting one. It's called, Sarah, do you ever talk to yourself?
Oh, constantly. Yeah.
Well, ever been in a situation where you just said, oh my gosh, I just even can't. I don't know what just happened, but this is not going well. I don't know why I have to do this. It's just too tough. Have you ever said that to yourself?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. But it just spirals almost without even trying. Yeah.
Well, and we talked about that, and we were looking this up about how, in many of you know Roger Federer, the great tennis player. He won all his championships, and then he went downhill for a little while, and he wanted to make a comeback. And he made some statements in the news about the fact that he lost some of just trying to come back, and how his inner voice started saying, well, oh my gosh, why am I even doing this? It's so hard, et cetera, et cetera. And I know some folks have said this, why am I trying to do this? It's too hard to beat neuropathy. And that's just not true. It was the voice in his head. And so I don't know if folks can hear that voice, but I know that some of you do. And sometimes it's frustrating. But that positive self-talk, is critical in terms of one thing that most folks don't know. You know what that is?
What?
In the brain, your nerves will regenerate and create new connections based on how you think
Yeah.
and how you think about yourself and how you respond to pain just
Yeah.
through the thought process. It's the way we grow. It's the way we develop. We've done it our whole lives. Some folks don't understand it. I've done geriatrics for over 40 years, and I've seen the most amazing changes in folks who just have that little positive talk with themselves and recognize that they're having this negative discussion, especially about neuropathy. And it's not about looking over there and seeing the neuropathy opponent and saying, "Oh, I can't beat that one. I'm not going to do this." You know what? You know what you do? You start positive. You just start positive with doing one thing, and that's being grateful for what you are and what you have and where you are in your life and what you've done.
Hmm.
Just be grateful. I tell people, make a list. I am so grateful for these things because they're all positive.
Right.
So, are you grateful for your dog? I know you have one.
Hmm. Very much so.
Why are you grateful for your dog, Sarah?
Well, because when I start talking to myself, I really have her to talk to, so it makes me feel better about that.
Okay, your
She's a
dog
great.
talk. If that dog talks back to you, but you know what? It's important to visualize the process when you're doing this self-talk. It really
Yeah.
works on a regular basis. I know there's a lot of motivation. I'll teach a lot about motivation in the university and things like that, but this little inner voice, if you catch yourself with that negativity, stop it. Tell
Mhm.
yourself you're going to do this thing. Tell yourself you're going to get up, and no matter what, you're going to go through a process, a ritual that's going to make you a winner. Um, you've got to visualize where you're going with a positive thought process. I can, not I can't, I will, not I won't. I'm going to keep trying no matter what. And there's another part of this, and I'll go to the next one about this. That basically that visualization of your brain changing according to the positive thoughts is true. I swear it is. You'll feel better. Your neuropathy will feel better, and you won't recognize the pain from neuropathy as much because you're thinking about the visualization of the thought process that will help you um, just to get on to the next day doing the right things.
Right. One thing that I've heard over the years is just the distinction that we are not our thoughts. We have very little control over the thoughts that come into our head, but we have a choice of how we respond to them and what we do with them. And that comes, you're saying can, not can't. It's like maybe that thought that comes in your head is I can't do this. Well, that thought is not something that's you didn't choose that thought. So it's taking us a moment to choose a different one. And that's I think what we were talking about, that brain has that ability to rewire
Right.
essentially. That's where those thoughts, what happens unconsciously, that's where you can start to take control of that a little bit. I think I met someone that she was very stuck in. She's like, I'm just a negative person, and what it's those default thoughts were very negative for her. And as soon as she started recognizing that those, she doesn't have to choose those thoughts. She doesn't have to live into those thoughts. She can live into something that's more positive. She can choose an outcome that's more positive. Visualize an outcome that's more positive. We just have a lot more control over it than I think is talked about. It's
Right.
like just because you have that thought doesn't mean it's true, doesn't mean it's accurate, and doesn't mean it has to be the one that that dictates your life.
Well, and you
So,
said something important about the subconscious. You know, when you're hearing that voice and you're aware of that, you're moving that out of that subconscious negativity. If you're
yeah,
hearing if folks out there are right now suffering from neuropathy and they're saying, you know what, I just can't, I'm not going to go do something tomorrow because of that. Um, you have to stop and take a breath and say, wait a minute, that thought was a negative thought. Or why don't you change it into a positive thought? I am going to go do that. And then go do that. And that's part of a practice. And I think probably practicing that positive talk is important. Find something you like to say that's positive and keep repeating it if you have to. You don't have to repeat it. You could repeat it to your dog if you want. The dog doesn't care, but mentally, even if you're not saying it out loud, although I like saying those things out loud, that improves the ability for the brain to regenerate. But those positive thoughts, and I'd like everybody out there. How about right now, Sarah? Let's invite everybody out there, if they want to type something in there over the next little bit, to send us a positive thought. Just for the heck. There's two things. We get a lot of positive thoughts if folks will type that into the chat area, right?
Yeah.
How do they do that?
There's a comment box. Just type and hit OK or send, I think. Yeah, we'll see them pop up.
Positive thought. And maybe we'll pick up some of those in a few minutes. But and then that begins the process. If you can even just do that right now, then you can share it with somebody else. And we'll share some of those, hopefully. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Got these positive thoughts going on. How about, yes, this is kind of a training for adversity.
Okay.
And there's an example that I found. I thought this was interesting I know some of you are basketball fans. Stephen Curry, he was a Golden State Warrior, and he became a great NBA star. But he was known for pretending that there was going to be an adverse situation and he had to be ready for it. Something maybe he wasn't ready for and it was going to come at him and he needed to be ready for anything. So you know what he did?
What?
When he was doing his dribbling drills, he would have people throw tennis balls at him so he could learn to focus.
Wow.
He also He also wore goggles at times where they restrict his sight. So he would just focus on his dribbling, on what he was supposed to be doing. Wow. He was training for anything that would come at him. Neuropathy, you can't see. Isn't that interesting? So how the heck do you train for that? Anything can happen. And neuropathy can come overnight. It can never come. It can never get worse. You don't know where this is going to happen. One of the best ways is to pretend that neuropathy is going to get worse so that the activities you do will help prevent it. And I love preventive medicine. Prevention is the key to all of this. Imagine that you look ahead 10 years and you say, my neuropathy gold medal is going to be won 10 years from now because I'm going to continue to beat this adversary who wants to beat me 10 years from now. What would I do 10 years from now to keep this neuropathy from getting worse? Now, train for the adversity of a possible neuropathy that could worsen. And when I say train, I mean do the things that will help prevent the neuropathy from the activities like yoga, stretching, simple things, strength building, taking the supplements, doing what you should be doing, and having the discipline, mental toughness to say, I'm going to do my training no matter what happens. You know what? If it's raining outside and you've got a walking situation, and that's I don't want you following, let's not make it raining. Let's just say it's kind of bad weather outside, and your job is to walk a mile, put a raincoat on, or put something on and do it anyway and say, this is an adverse situation and I can beat this thing. Naturally, I want you to be safe, but the point is train for the adversity of what could happen later on, pretending that it could, because you'll be better before it ever gets there and your adversary will never see that coming because you're prepared.
Yeah. I really like that. It kind of takes the preventative approach and turns it on its head a little bit.
Right.
It's a little bit more competitive, which I relate to. So if there's someone that's has that competitive side, then that's a great way to look at it for sure.
Well, and if you're training hard, being part of having a process for neuropathy, if you're training and doing what you should, your daily ritual every day, if something does happen, you are really ready. And you're already and the effort it will take to overcome that will be easier.
Yeah.
You see, it's just about training and not being all, I hate to say the word lazy, but just with that fixed mindset that tells you I can't do anything, so I'm not. That's just not true. You can do everything, and everybody out there can do everything.
Mhm.
So that's what I think about training for the adversity. Be ready for the future, but thinking far enough ahead. Okay.
I like it. All right, there's one more, right? You were going to share 5 tips tonight?
Yep. I got one more here. And this
Okay.
is know your why.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes.
And here's why. That's my why. Yeah, kidding. Asking questions about anything stimulates what I call neuro hope and creativity, the growth mindset.
Okay.
Why am I here? Why am I alive? What's important to me? Why did I eat those mashed potatoes when I shouldn't have had butter on them? Why did I do that? Asking why, but mostly positive questions about why it is that I need to develop the right mindset. Why it is that I need to get up every morning and rub my legs, begin stretching programs. Why is it that I have to eat the rainbow foods, the reds and the greens and the oranges? Because I want to prevent neuropathy. And why, most importantly, is it that I even do anything to beat neuropathy? Because in most cases, the most important thing will come to the top, and it's usually about the people around you and the people that love you and how it is that they want to be with you and they want you to be healthy. What's important are the grandkids and the things like that. And so asking why, um,
Yeah.
and then answering that question goes back to those being mentally tough, but also back to those neural connections that can regenerate and change and reconnect. You got this positive thought going on and you're answering, well, why is it important? I'll tell you why it's important. And I've had too many patients not know that until I put them on the spot and say, you know
Yeah.
why did you even do that? Why didn't you walk a mile? I'll tell you a quick story. How's our time going tonight?
We're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're okay.
So I had a gentleman. He was about 40. He was 44 years old. 'Cause I remember him very well. He had diabetes. He had neuropathy in his feet, and he was overweight. And he came in, and I remember because he worked, and he worked in a furniture store, running a furniture store. And he was a really, really nice guy, but he was scared. And one day he had almost mini stroke. That means that he had a little clot that went to the brain, stayed for a little bit, and he had symptoms of some slurred speech and whatever. And um, so he was scared. And he hadn't been taking care of the diabetes such as well. And exercise is something that was in a dictionary. So I said to him, we have to make a change. And I said,
Yeah.
we, but he knew what I meant. And I
Okay.
said, you know what I'm going to have you do? And he said, what? I said, you're turning your television off. No, you're unplugging your television. Because when I talked to him, that's what he did. Wasted time in front of the television.
Yeah.
And when he wasn't at work, he came home at night, he slipped into that. And so for a week, he had to turn his TV off. When he came back a week later, he said, I made an incredible discovery. And I said, well, this ought to be good. And he said, yeah, I discovered my bicycle. It had two flat tires, and I was hanging stuff in the garage on it. So I got the tires fixed and I started riding it every morning. Then it
Wow.
went from the bicycle in the mornings to the bicycle in the evenings. Then it went to a bridge with his next mental toughness Olympic challenge to walk the 2 mile over the bridge at some time. And it took him a year and a half to be in shape to walk that bridge. And when he came in one time, he says, you know what? I did it. I walked the bridge. Mental toughness is all about asking, in this case, why? Why was it, in his case, did he, why was it that he wasn't doing what he should be doing? And why is it, and what it is in his case that could make him healthier, the mental toughness, moving out of that fixed mindset. He did
Mhm.
great. He kept working. He lost, I think, it was like 30 pounds, diabetes under control. And why do you think he wanted to do that?
I don't
It
know.
was not having a stroke. It was because he wanted to continue working so he could support his family
Mm,
and and also help his church.
there you go.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a great story because he turned into an Olympian. You know, he went from cooking fries at the Olympics to being the guy who won the gold medal. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
so. That's my five tips to a mental mindset in beating the neuropathy opponent in the Olympics. Did anybody send you a positive thought at all?
We did get a few come through. One from Paige. I love that these read more like mantras, and
Okay.
it's something like you could almost just repeat like every morning. Paige says, "My pain will be better tomorrow."
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
I love that. Jill also reads like a mantra. I love it. My nerves can heal.
Man, these are just great positive statements. I mean, they're pretty darn focused. Those are great. Anybody else?
We've got one, a quote shared from Bev. She says, "Do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better."
Wow.
A quote by
I'm gonna-
Maya Angelou. That's I love that too. Um, I'm so aware of I don't know what I don't know, and so like that pursuit of expanding your own knowledge base, and but not having a forgiveness for yourself for not knowing what you didn't know.
Right.
I love that, Bev. Thank you for sharing. You guys, thank you so much for sharing that. And these are great things to also share. I know a lot of you are in our private customer support group on Facebook here. These are great things to share too. So maybe if you have a mantra, something a positive energy that you want to share, post those. Share that within the Facebook communities. That's something that you can help generate a little bit of
That
engagement.
might be a great, and I don't know how you guys would do this, but to have send that out and see how many positive, a question to everybody. Give us a positive comment,
Yeah.
a positive thought, and see where that goes. And maybe we could put them on a paper or do something positive
Yeah.
thoughts. Anyway, so much
I
for
love
that.
that.
But let's do a summary. We're going to run out of time here,
Yeah.
and I just want folks to have a quick review, and then we'll go about our way and think positive thoughts. But here's kind of the summary of what I just said. Look, number one, you got to take care of yourself physically. It's not easy at times, and there are barriers, but a growth mindset says no matter what, I will get better. And somebody said that online, so I really appreciate that one. Okay, second one is this: no matter where you are, be honest with yourself. You are where you are. Don't exaggerate. And you know what? Know this: you are in control of everything that you do from this point on. Whether you have a fixed or a growth mindset will be up to you. You make the decisions, and that's what Sarah said earlier. You have the control to change everything about how you think about things, which goes to number three, which you know what? Talk and think positively. You think I'm kidding when I say talk to the dog? I talk to my dog, you
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah, with things are going wrong, but I like talking out loud and thinking about and knowing this and everybody out there that you're changing the whole mechanism within the neural connections of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and number four, you know what? Train for adversity, train like an athlete. You are in the training right now to beat neuropathy for the rest of your life. And and you know what? It's like do one more push up, one more
Mm-hmm.
step, one more squat. Spend another 3 minutes doing yoga stretching, something
Yeah.
for adversity. And, I was going to stop. I'm going to go a little bit further. And the last one is this, and I'll challenge you guys to do this: write down or draw a picture of why you have to win this Olympic gold medal. You have to beat the neuropathy opponent. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what you're going to do. You're going to take this piece of paper like this. Here's a piece of paper. or whatever you want to put it on, and you're going to tape it to your mirror.
Mm.
You're going to look at it every day. What is your why? Why is it so important that you take care of yourself and win this Olympic gold medal?
Mm.
I'll
I
bet you
love it.
none of those Olympians said, I want to win this gold medal because I want a medal.
Right.
There's another reason. And I can't tell you what they all are, but
Mm.
okay. So
Yeah.
that's the five, the summary. We're kind of in a motivational mode tonight, but I'd like everybody tomorrow morning to wake up and think about the last one, which is why the heck you have to get up and get moving and take care of yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, we are definitely in like a motivational, mode tonight. But that is so important. It's often so overlooked, and I think that's one thing why we are so grateful to have you as one of our advisors, is because we share that understanding that it's a lot. A treatment plan is about a lot more than what you take. It's just there's if you can sabotage yourself before you even get started with
Right.
with a poor mindset and some of these things that we talked about tonight. So thank you, Don, for sharing your perspective on this. I know this is a little bit of your realm of genius. You've spent a lot of time on the coaching side of just helping people and motivating people. And so we just are very grateful that you're able to take that and apply it to neuropathy and those suffering from a nerve condition. So thank you, as always, for your time. And you guys that were able to join us live tonight, thank you for joining us live. We love being able to get those comments coming through and see them firsthand. If you're catching the replay, still leave those comments. Our team will be going through and monitoring those as well. So thank you, as always, for joining us. Don, anything else before we sign off?
Just my final challenge. I love challenges, is this.
Mm-hmm.
Take a 3x5 card, write your why on it, stick it to your
Mm-hmm.
mirror, and wake up tomorrow morning and take a look at it. That's all. It's just, yeah, you need to do that. Everyone here could do that. Everyone listening could do that. And everyone listening can tell somebody else to do it. So that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Share that, right? Like that positivity can be
Right.
infectious. And it's easier if you're not doing it by yourself.
Right.
So, all right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Don. We'll see everybody next month. Have a good night.
Good night.